In this video, I'm going to teach you how to file your corporation's annual return. I wanted to put this video together because I've noticed that there's a lot of people that have this endless debate of, should I be a sole proprietor or should I actually incorporate my business? And a lot of people actually really want to incorporate their business. They want some of the benefits that come with it, but they get worried that the administration burden is going to be too high. It's going to be so complex. So what I want to do in this video is actually walk you through step by step. We're going to file an annual return actually for my corporation. We're going to fill it out together and we're going to try to do it in less than 10 minutes time. So we're going to take you start to finish from the notice all the way to filing, and we're going to see, can we actually make this happen in under 10 minutes? So like anything in life, you could always hire someone to do this for you. You can make it really complicated, but particularly for those of you that are starting out and those of you that are the sole owner of your company. So if you are kind of owning 100% of the shares, you are the sole director, the sole individual with 100% ownership of your company. I'm going to show you just how simple it can be to file your annual return. I'm going to use an example from Alberta because that's where I happen to be based, but you'll find that the concept and the principle behind it is very similar regardless of what province or what state or wherever in the world you may happen to be. Obviously, all the same caveats and disclaimers, check the details of where you live, but what I really want you to do is to see that this process can actually be quite demystified, and it doesn't have to be something that you feel like you absolutely must hire someone to spend thousands and thousands of dollars on. So let's get started. All right, so next up what I'm going to do is share my screen, and I'm going to show you step by step how we're going to go about filling out a corporation's annual returns. What you see before you here right now is the email notice that I actually received from our provincial registry saying, hey, nudge, nudge, your annual return is due now. And you'll see in here, they've sent along a particular form. They've actually populated a few sections of it already for me. They've provided all the instructions on where I'm going to send it, what I need to do with it. And they've also included a link to where I will actually submit that to a registry office. Now, your province or your state may or may not send you that reminder. So I'm going to walk you through the process that you would go through if for some reason you didn't get this email or you had somehow deleted it and couldn't trace back. So we're going to use a handy dandy tool called Google, which I'm sure you use all the time. And I'm going to populate Alberta annual return because that's what I'm trying to actually populate here. And you'll see all the search results that come up. We're basically going to ignore anything that's a sponsor. So an ad, and we're looking for something that is from the government. So we're looking for this one here. We're seeing alberta.ca. This is probably the right spot to go. So this is going to take us and we can kind of recognize this is the Alberta logo. You'll recognize something similar again for your state or your specific province or your specific jurisdiction. You just want to kind of get a feel, just kind of navigate a little bit of the way through. And here you're going to see they've actually outlined it for us. Step 1, gather your information. Step 2, fill out the form. And step 3, submit it somewhere. So we're going to go through each of these steps for Alberta, but the exact same concept would apply if you were looking for something similar for, let's try an Ontario, for example. So let's say Ontario annual report showed up here. Again, we're going to ignore the ads and we're going to look for one that says, ontario.ca. So this is probably the one we're going to be looking for. And you'll be able to see on here, on this page, here's the filing requirements. Looks like here are the forms that you can find. Here's some contact information. So you can kind of navigate something similar if that pertains to a different location. But we are going to jump back to Alberta because that's where I am and that's what we're filling out here. So we're going to start with step 1 to actually download the form, and we're going to start to populate this actual form. So let's pull it open here. Okay, so let's actually populate it in here. And we know that we're looking at the right form because it's an annual return for Alberta and extra provincial corporation. Don't worry too much about extra provincial. It probably won't apply to you. If it does, you've probably already met with a lawyer that has explained it to you. But let's say you really want to make sure that you're doing it correctly. What's really interesting, I'll come back to this in a second, you're going to see that the Business Corporations Act and the specific sections are coming up here. So after we populate it all, we're actually going to go back to the act and we're going to give ourselves a little sense of comfort that, hey, did we do it okay? Did we do it correctly? Extra provincial typically means that you are a corporation that's not already in Alberta or in your particular location, but we're not going to delve into any of that. Okay, so step 1, pretty simple question. What is the name of the corporation? All right, we're going to put in our corporate access number. So here you probably received a folder, a scanned PDF document. You would have received something at the point in time where you were incorporated that's going to identify your specific business number. So in my case, it's a document that looks a little bit like this, and it actually lists on here what those numbers are for my business. So I can just kind of find it on this simple, one-page document. So I'm going to populate that in here. And you'll notice that if we were actually using the one that was sent in the email, they actually helped us out quite a bit and populated all of these fields ahead of time. And the date of formation, that is really just asking, when did you incorporate your business? So in my case, we're gonna go back to, and you'll know that from, there's really only going to be one date. It's going to be the date that you actually went through all of those processes. So you'll go back and you'll look in your own records for that. And the return, we're filling this out for 2021. And are we amending an annual return in the past? Well, no, this is actually the first one that we're doing. So we're not amending anything. We're going to skip question number 6. It doesn't apply to us. Our current corporation address. So this is where you're going to populate, again, where your corporation is, where you've registered the address. And another pretty simple question, you're going to populate, what is your email address? All right, so let's read this little section under here. There's been a change to the corporation's address or agent of service if it was not previously reported. So in my case, there was no change to the address, there was no change to the contact person, so we're going to skip through that one as well. Current agent for service. In this case, this may be something you would use if you were like hiring a lawyer to fill this out for you, but in my case, it is simply myself. I am the agent for my own corporation. So has there been a change of the directors? Well, no, I was the director before and the director after, so there has been no change of directors, so we're going to skip that. And current shareholders, this is where we're going to identify, have new people bought into our company? Have we raised equity? Have we maybe given our employees a portion of ownership in the company? And you'll see in this case, actually, no, there's no shareholder changes since the last report. And so the current shareholders for this year are listed down here below. You'll notice it says last name / corporation name. That's because a corporation can own another corporation, but in this case, the shareholder is actually going to be myself. You get to find out what my middle name is. And again, you're going to notice that this is not applicable because I'm not a corporation. I'm the individual that owns these shares. And what percentage of the voting shares do I have? Well, it happens to be 100%. Now, all the sections down here below would be where you would list all the various other shareholders and people that have ownership interest into your company. You would not identify your bank or any of the loans or creditors because they are, in 99% of the time, they're people that are lending you money, but they don't have equity interest. So this would really still be only yourself as the one with ownership. So we're going to skip all of this here section because again, we want to make sure that everything tallies up to 100%, but because I'm representing 100%, then there we go. Authorized representative is going to be myself. Relationship to the corporation. Let's take a look at what the options are in here. I happen to be a director of the company. And the date of the submission is, and we'll add in a phone number in here. Okay. And that is it for completing the actual form. So let's go and read a few of the instructions. I know I jumped right in and we didn't look at the instructions initially. You would fill out, and this is kind of a bit of a recap of everything that we did. So we used the particular form, we filled it all out. Again, some of the fields in there were really kind of asking more so if someone was filling this out on your behalf or if there were multiple owners. But you can see that really what I was populating is my name and my address and my contact information because I am the sole owner. I have 100% ownership of the company. Everything in here is just a little bit of a recap of what we actually populated. Items 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Everything was in here. We've actually completed each of these steps. These are just instructions. If you were really stuck and you wanted to know, like, what does this mean? What do I put under here? It actually includes instructions in there already for you. So now we are going to save and print because you'll notice that it's asking for a signature on here. All right, so we've completed the first step, which is to fill out the form. Now we need to actually give the form to someone, right? We need to give it to a service provider. And in the case of Alberta, there is not a provincial department that is acting as a service provider. They have privatized it, so different providers operate their own business. So we can go and choose one of the different service providers that are in here. So let's just take a little look and see. Okay, we're doing a basic registration. And how I know it's a basic registration, if we kind of come down here, annual return for corporations is something very basic. It's something that happens every single year. If you really weren't sure and you're like, well, am I looking for level 1, level 2, level 3? Don't worry about it. It's just telling you where you can go. Someone that would do more complex thing is also probably likely to accept a very simple case. All we're doing in here is trying to figure out where do we actually bring this information to. We'll take a little look here and we'll choose what registry we want. Now, in this case, I actually typed in one of the registry offices that I've used in the past just to renew my driver's license, that type of thing. So that's why I kind of knew exactly where they were. Not particular endorsement for them. You can always go with anyone, any registry office or option available to you. But if you remember what stage and what step we're on, if we kind of go back in here and you can see that our step 1 was to gather the information. Step 2 was to actually fill out the form. And now step 3 is where we're going to actually take this information and we're going to bring it to the registry office. So what I'm doing right now is step 3. I'm actually tracking down the registry office. And this is the one that we're actually looking for. Their websites will all be a little bit different, so you might need to navigate a little bit through. I'll go through services. I'm obviously not looking for automotive, and a lot of times what you're going to do is just go through a process of elimination. I know I'm going to corporate registry, but you could kind of look through all of these and say, well, what is all of that stuff? It's corporate registry. Pretty much anything that's going to say corporate, it's going to say anything along those lines is going to be what you're looking for. Now, you might look at some of this and again feel a little bit overwhelmed because these are going to be different for each and every single provider. We're looking for something that has annual return. One of the things that sometimes people can get really overwhelmed is they look at all of these different options, they say, oh my goodness, I have no idea what all of this means. And the truth is you don't need to know what it means. You just need to find the one that pertains to the service that you're actually trying to submit. So in this case, we're trying to submit an annual return. Let's actually click on it and let's see what their instructions are. Oh look, looks like they have it online. And it looks like download the form. It looks like we actually could have got the form from them directly, but that's okay.
All right, so here we are. I got the forms and paperwork with me. Just about to go into the registry office. I'm gonna give them the forms. I'm gonna pay them the money. I don't think I can film in there, but I will let you know how it goes whenever I get out. All right, so there you have it. No lineup or anything. I've got all of my receipt. It's all paid and in the works. And the annual corporation report has been filed and good to go. So I hope what you can take away from this is that filing these forms is definitely something figure-outable. You can absolutely figure it out. Just take your time with it, go step by step, and it'll get easier every single year. And basically you're free and off the hook for the next 364 days. So good job.